Nothing is just about the transition that they are talking about until they acknowledge and recognize the intersectionality of climate change, the human rights, the women's rights, and also the social fiber that humanity is made of.
The just transition as a concept is something that came from the labor movement. And in this sense, the just transition in the climate space is about moving from fossil fuel-based jobs to renewable energy-based jobs. The just transition as a concept is used in many different sectors and spheres. So the energy sector also has what is called a just energy transition, and that's a move from fossil fuels like coal, oil and gas to moving to renewable energy, the use of renewable energy.
Climate has been a global issue, and then Ghana is not an exception.
We are experiencing weather mood swings. It's either very hot or very wet. If it's wet, it means it's flooding. If it's hot, it means it's scorching. We are having people being displaced due to flooding, and we are having people migrating to find water.
Zimbabwe is definitely experiencing a climate crisis, just like any other country in the world. I can actually safely say the country is still recovering from Cyclone Idai and the damage that it caused, the mental trauma and the losses in terms of infrastructure. It hit us so bad because our response mechanisms are not as strong, mostly because of lack of funding, but there are other factors to do with governance and preparedness and the planning in itself. But we are hit hard, and the women, they suffer the most.
Today we need to think together in solution that we can find for these issues and to address this issue. And that's why we are together here in Feminist COP. The voice of women, of African women, must be heard in this context.
This is day 4.5 of the Feminist COP, which is a movement space for community-based activists and those who organize within the climate justice movement and ecosystem to really disrupt the hegemonic power that decision-making spaces often have.
This is quite a huge opportunity for the whole continent and indeed the whole world to leapfrog from energy poverty towards renewable energy systems which are women-driven, which are women-informed, which are actually women-centered, and also move towards clean cooking technologies. Our role is to mobilize the women, create spaces for us to show our solidarity, to create the space for that voice, which is often not heard and not listened to, for it now to shape the agenda. So our role currently is for us even to get them to the COP. This is a space where people are going to harness their collective knowledge, and this is based on experiential learning as well, because the methodology that we use in these spaces is feminist popular education. We also use, of course, other feminist methodologies which are participatory, which do not create hierarchies that we fight as the feminist movement.
What I learned here during this Feminist COP is that it's not only about sharing, but also about learning. I really enjoyed learning from my sister experiences from different countries.
We have been able to identify the fact that we cannot let feminism override certain aspects of culture that African women have and our identity as African women.
The one thing that I've learned is we need really hard to work on our solidarity. Women, we have to be very, very united so we can fight this climate change.
Ninarudi nyumbani nikiwa na full of knowledge kutoka kwa watu wenzangu, ambaye najua nikiipeleka kwa wakina mama wengine kule watajifunza zaidi kupitia mafunzo ambayo nimejifunza.
It has been a success. We've managed to learn, we've managed to see, and we now have our set of demands that we are taking to the COP.
Critical demand for me would be around energy. The financing for energy for Africa needs to significantly increase for renewable energy for Africa. Moving forward as well in terms of technology, I think we have to really be keen to prioritize local value chains and local supply chains so that Africa benefits a lot more from this transition and the financing and all of that.
At the COP this year, women should be part of the negotiators.
My demand for COP28 is for women to be included in all decision making.
The first step for COP28, and if they finally take us seriously as Africans, is for them to pay up for the damages that they have caused.
At the COP this year, women should be part of the negotiators. I also demand that government should stop fossil fuel extraction in Africa. We don't want it because it's not healthy, it's not environmental friendly.
My demand for COP28 this year is to multilateral development banks to decentralize funds and promote localization agenda in climate action, to fund directly grassroots organizations and movements and communities that are involved in climate action.
My demand for the COP 2028 is that there should be inclusion of women, girls and marginalized groups at all levels of discussions.
I'm demanding money. Secondly, I'm demanding that they give us an apology and they allow us to say exactly what we want to say. Understand it from my perspective. Say sorry to me because I am not responsible for this issue, and then give me money to find solutions for myself. Don't give me solutions.
These women's voices are urgent, matter, and are as critical and important as the people who supposedly speak on our behalf. Because while we don't know the agendas of governments who end up representing our interests, we know the agendas of activists and frontline communities on the ground in proffering solutions and leadership.